Welcome to Techstination, your destination for gadgets and gear. Here's Fred Fishkin.
Survival, that is sometimes what it is all about. And we are going to introduce you to LifePods. Joining us from Momentum Technologies, based in France, is CEO Cedric Choffat.
Nice to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you. Now, compact rescue capsules for different scenarios are what you are all about, it seems. Give us the overview.
Well, the overview is that we decided to develop these LifePods because we thought it was the proper momentum. That's also why we call the company Momentum Technologies. And the idea is to have a last chance when nothing else works anymore. You have no time to escape. You have these LifePods where you can step in and save you and your family. That's basically the idea.
And you are designing them for different scenarios here. Tell us about that.
Yes, well, there are different kind of troubles and threats in the world. And our deduction was that it's not possible to cover all the kind of different risk with a single life pod because you need to get some steel for the ballistic one. You need to get aluminum that is not too heavy for the floating one. And in fact, we used our skills in engineering since many years to develop a range of life pods that would make sense for different situations.
And typically, how many people would fit inside of the life pods?
So far we have two models. Both of them have been developed with the idea to be easy to transport and install. So there is, of course, an impact on the size. For the ballistic one, two adults, and we could imagine two kids could step in and sit on the adults like in the aircraft. And for the floating one, which is bigger, it's for four adults, and same thing here. You could also take little kids on you, so you could carry eight persons. But if you want to go really comfortable, but of course in a crisis mode, let's say you want to save as much people as possible. But normal situation will be two adults for the ballistic one and four adults for the floating one.
And with the ballistic one, just give us an idea of what it can withstand.
Well, so we have an inner frame. That's an important point with multi layers of steel. These steels have been chosen through testing to be able to have a good ballistic resistance, but also that we could cut them by laser, bend them, weld them. So there are three layers of steel, and these steels, as I explained, are different for reasons of ballistics also, and also elasticity of the steel, because the materials that we use for the ballistic one has to be also positively used in case of expansion of the steel when there is a fire. It's a bit complicated to explain, but of course, when there is a fire and the BO1 is able to protect you also from a fire of high intensity during 10 to 15 minutes. This testing is still pending, but we plan to do it in the next months. We focused first on the ballistic test. And so far, we are finishing now the VPAM SR7 certification, which is already really high. It means if a guy shoots you with a Kalashnikov, it will not go through the bullets and you will survive. And the tests that we still have to do are the explosions and fragmentation test and fire tests. But we have the chance to have a very high-level scientists in our group who used to be the manager of the nuclear test in France for the French President Chirac in the 90s. And this is really helpful because we already know it will resist to a wildfire, as I explained, and to shot attacks. And many people in the US actually are wondering if it could be used for tornadoes, for example. So it could be the case, but it's not the first purpose. So we will do some testing also regarding this, but that's not really why we developed it. But it can also help in case of huge storms and tornadoes. That's for sure.
And of course, the floating model is designed for flooding
So
and such.
yes, the floating model is a different story because, as I explained at the beginning, the characteristic of the materials are completely different. you have two layers of aluminum with some ribs in the inside that joins the two layers, and in between there is an injected foam. Just to give you an idea, on a floating boat that is unsinkable, usually you inject roughly 1,000 liters of foam inside the boat for a capacity of 8 persons. And in our LifePod W01, the floating one, we have 5 square meters of foam, so it's 5 times more. What does it mean? It means that it's completely unsinkable. Even if there is an object that goes through the two layers, in case of huge crash on an object, it will never sink. And there is also a weight on the bottom that will reposition it straight. There are some channels for the respiration. So we did already some tests to breathe inside the capsule for a long time. And we will sell additional equipments like bottles of oxygen. Because if you are in a situation that you cannot use the normal channels to breathe, you are in a completely closed situation. The capacity with no fresh air for 4 adults is 40 minutes until you reach a level of CO2 that is a bit extreme. But we will also work on a solution that is to supply air through bottles that will increase your time of survival time, breathing time inside the capsule if you are facing this critical situation.
And that is for the ballistic models as well?
For the ballistic model, the capacity for breathing is not limited because you have less occupants inside, you have 2 persons. But we will also work on a version that will have a ventilator that will force the air to go through in case it's stored in the inside. Because an important point is that if you have a slight wind, it will be absolutely enough to breathe normally. But if you have no wind at all and it is inside a room, for example, you will need a ventilator that will force the ventilation. And of course, it will require the battery inside. So that's something we are working on. We focused, because the company only is 1 year old, but we went pretty quick actually. And now we are focusing on these new equipments, but we focused initially on the construction of the first prototypes, the fairs, and the certifications for the product raw, let's say. Now we will implement them with geolocalization, breathing system, oxygen bottles, and also amplificator for the signal of your mobile phone that you can use your phone inside the capsule.
How did this come about? What was the inspiration?
Well, the inspiration is empathy. I am a father, I have kids, and I, like everyone, I think I hate to see disasters that finish very bad. And after the tsunami of 2004 and the tsunami of 2011 in Japan, I saw floating cars in the streets and people trapped inside. And the end is really sad because most of them died. And that way I understood that we could create a structure, a metal structure that will be strong enough to resist to that kind of event. And if we place them with a good proactivity, and also we teach to people how to use them, and the Japanese citizens are very good for this, for example, we will probably be able to save lives. So a new layer of resilience is coming now thanks to that kind of things, because at the end, if you look at the critical situations with the weather since more than 20 years, it increased of 40%. That's what the report says. And also you have geopolitical crisis for the ballistic one that, in my opinion, justifies the reason why we create that kind of things. Because at the end, for the ballistic one, the idea was to have the possibility to install it even in the garden of a family very quick. If the region where you used to live wasn't in tension and becomes in tension very quick, it means you have no time to install a panic room, you have no time to install a bunker. We are in touch with companies that protects, for example, businessmen that are living for 6 to 12 months of big companies in Mexico, where there is homejacking. It's an example, but and they like the idea because they say if there is a rush, if there is a critical situation and they have no protection, we can come to drop the LifePod very quick, and they will be protected. They will send a signal distress signal, and we will come to help them. That's really the idea. It's very simple. You step in, you send the signal, and you wait for the rescue.
Now, who might the customers be for this? Give us an idea about the price range, and then we can talk about, when these will be available.
So the BO1, the ballistic one, will be on the market from September. So we already have pre-orders for countries like Dubai, for example, where it's right now in tension because of the war with Iran. And we have companies that are focused on protection for civilians and companies that are already interested by it, but not only. It can also be for B2C, for civilians that, as I explained, are living in areas that is under risk. I take Mexico as an example because unfortunately, since a few months, the situation in Mexico is looking very bad. Yeah, the price for the BO1 is in Europe 29,000 euros, VAT included. It will be ex-VAT roughly 24,000 euros, so which would be 26 to 27,000 US dollars. We will do the shipping ex-works from the port of Barcelona. And we plan to have storage in USA. So we already work on the solution to have a supply in the US in a shorter time and with a competitive price. And we will probably showcase a few units on the East coast and on the West Coast, where there is, we think, potential. For the floating one, so the ballistic one, as I said, will be available from September on pre-orders, and the supply time for US will take roughly 2 months with the transport and the shipping. And for the floating one, we expect it to be available very early 2027. Important point for the floating one is that we produce it in a company that is extremely well prepared to scale, to produce big quantities, because this company is owned by Yamaha Group. It's a company that is located in Finland, and they have the brand Buster Boat. The name of the company is IWL, and they produce 2,000 to 3,000 aluminum boats per year. And in fact, my industrial background was in the motorcycle industry, and I had a chance to have a very nice bridge from the top management of Yamaha Europe to this company. And we can already supply big quantities if it is successful, very quick. And that's why we expect the launch of this floating capsule in beginning of 2027. And the cost will be roughly 8,000 more than the BO1. So expected retail price in the US, including taxes and customs and transport, should be around 36,000 US dollars for the BO1 and roughly 50,000 for the floating one.
Where are you seeing the most interest? Is it in the survivalist community, or
No,
where
not
are you
especially,
seeing it?
because we are also planning to develop a quake one. For example, this one has interest from Chile, Mexico, all the areas where you have a lot of problems of earthquakes. So that's the next one we will develop. But for the actual one, as I said, for the ballistic one, we have interest from companies from everywhere in the world, because we have been on two main fairs already, international fairs, where companies specialized in protections came to us. So it's Brazil, it's India, it's Japan, it's USA, of course, Israel. There are many, many countries that are interested by it for many reasons. And we had a huge press coverage. We had the chance to be in the selection of the 10 most innovative companies in the art tech in the world. And we have been in the innovation gallery of Vivatech in France, which is a bit like the CES in Vegas. So it's 10 between 15,000 companies. So of course, the press coverage was huge. We had, for example, coverage on Fox News in the US, also CBS, Yahoo Tech, and AOL. So many reports already and press coverage, which is really good for us. And yeah, The company is growing very quick. We are very happy. We did a first founding 6 months ago. We opened our capital and we found easily some investors. And we plan to do a next round in October after the first deliveries.
How many do you expect you'll be manufacturing in 2027, and how quickly will it scale from there?
We expect in 2027 between 150 and 300 units, being realistic because it will be the beginning of the industrialization. It could be faster because honestly the interest is crazy. I mean, as I explained, we went through the press everywhere in the world, but one thing is to go through the press. The other thing is to get real orders. So far, we pre-sold roughly 100 units already, so it's really promising. But I want to be careful with the numbers because we have to keep the feet on the ground, like we say in Europe. And we expect that from this first year, it will be the confirmation of market and real testing in real situations. And from 2028, it should increase really a lot. We expect that we will roughly produce 2,000 to 5,000 units in 5 years per year.
Very interesting. For more information, where should people go?
Well, we have a website that is still under construction, but is already pretty good. It's lifepods.tech, T-E-C-H. We are working on it, as I said. We try to use new technologies also with Agents IA, and we are surrounded by very good companies for these topics. And on the website, you can send your inquiry and send us a question, a quote, and we will answer very quick.
Again, the site is lifepods.tech, lifepods.tech. Cedric Choffat, thank you so much for spending time with us.
Please, it was my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for watching or listening. Don't forget to subscribe. And for more, you can find us at Techstination.com.
The Haven 10,000 lantern is a smartly designed, beautiful solar light that you will love indoors or out. It is waterproof with up to 1,200 lumens of brightness, that's a lot of light, and the base becomes a flashlight at the push of a button. The power comes from a built-in lithium-ion battery recharged by the sun, the solar panel is built in, or USB-C. The battery can even recharge your phone. Did we mention how durable it is, how it folds down and can run for up to 120 hours on a charge? But the real power of the Haven Lantern comes from the people behind it and their mission to provide this quality lighting to those in the world who need it most, including in disaster emergencies. Your purchase helps to fund those efforts, and if you use the code Techstination20, you'll get it at a 20% discount. That's Techstination20 at havenlantern.com. Create your haven.